So tonight, I talked about these two sets of policies as examples, putting Singaporeans first and enhancing, working together with each other, to show you how we can keep the thrust of our policies, but adjust them to deal with specific problems. And so we will do it with education, with healthcare, with transport, so many other things. Not just once off, but progressively, because as we go forward, we will encounter new situations, new problems will come, and we will have to respond to them and adjust and make new policies. But where the strategic direction is correct, where we are basically sound, and we have a temporary problem to deal with, I think we should have the courage and the honesty to say, we are doing the right thing, let's tackle this problem, let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. It's very dangerous. After the general election, investors have been watching us very closely. And they've asked us directly whether Singapore is changing course fundamentally. Because our society is changing, our economy is changing, our politics is changing. But what new Singapore will it be? Will we respond to the pressures of the day and become like so many other countries, short-term and reactive? Or will we maintain our strengths? As ESM Go put it yesterday, will our politics remain pragmatic or will we become populist? And that's a very direct question, important, which they've asked us. EDB just celebrated their 50th anniversary. I went for their events and I met many of the CEOs who came here. And I think they came here not just because it was the 50th anniversary, but they came here because it was after the general elections and they wanted a sense of how Singapore is. What is it like? And they asked me, will Singapore change? In other words, has Singapore's political risk gone up? So I reassured them that we are determined to keep our strengths, that we know what Singapore's prosperity depends on, what our well-being depends on, and Singaporeans know what our well-being depends on. And we will maintain the policies which are important for us and therefore useful for them. And when at the dinner for the CEOs at the anniversary, this was my message. They listened carefully to me. I think they took me seriously. They accepted that we are resolved to do this. But I can tell you honestly, they're also waiting to see what we will do. And if I were them, I would also wait to see what Singapore will do. So make sure we do the right thing so that they continue to invest, we continue to have good jobs, and Singapore continues to prosper. Because that is what our future depends on. Looking ahead, we face more complex challenges, but we can create an outstanding future together. What we have today is special. Don't take it for granted. It's an extraordinary achievement, the result of hard work by a united population over many years, working with good leaders, making Singapore an exceptional country. Whether you go to the developed world for a holiday and come back, whether you go to the neighboring countries in our region and come back, I think if you're honest, you know when you come back to Singapore, you say, I'm glad to be home. Because this is a place where there's very few others like it in the world. And people know this. I think our people know this. I think that many people in the world know this. And our Singapore brand is respected all over the world. Everywhere we go, we are proud to be Singaporeans. If you look away from the policies, away from the details, all the fine print of the schemes and the programs and so on, I think we have one basic choice which we have to make at this turning point. And the basic choice is this. What sort of Singapore do we want to be 20 years from now? Do we want to be still an exceptional country, one which is unique and which people look up to around the world? Or are we content for Singapore to be an ordinary country, getting by, but no different from so many other cities all over Asia? It's not hard to be ordinary. You can get by. But without a hinterland, if you become just like any other city in Asia, then there's no reason for people to be here, to invest here, for talent to stay here, or even for able Singaporeans in the next generation to want to remain. And then Singaporeans may leave for bigger and better opportunities elsewhere. If we want to continue to be exceptional, then you must make a special effort. Special effort to look ahead, anticipate problems and opportunities, to build for the long term, patiently, resolutely, year by year, whether it's good weather or bad, and to keep our politics pragmatic and constructive so that the political basis is there for us to do work which makes sense for Singapore and for us to work together for the common good. And I believe that to keep Singapore exceptional is a goal well worth striving for. We've shown that we can do it, otherwise we wouldn't be here today. And now we have the opportunity to build something which is truly outstanding in Singapore. And as the song says, show the world what Singapore can do. We deserve it, our children deserve no less. Because we want our children to grow up in a city, in a country which they are proud of and which is something special and enables them to flower to the maximum. It's a basis on which we are planning and we are moving on the programs in Singapore to develop our economy, our education and so on over the next 5 years. I won't go through all these programs, but I would like to share with you just some pictures, just to give you a sense of the things which we are doing and why they are worth doing. We are developing new growth industries, for example, precision engineering. Companies here used to make TV and radio components. Now they produce sophisticated products, and this thing which is being made in Singapore is equipment to make semiconductors. So you're not just having semiconductor production lines here where they make the wafers and the chips, but you're making the machinery to make the wafers and the chips in Singapore, one level up. You don't put that in any ordinary country. We are developing our infrastructure. You probably haven't seen this part of Singapore. It's deep underground, is the Jurong Rock Cavern. Because under Jurong Island, there's a big granite formation, and we're excavating caverns in the granite formation to provide storage space to support our petrochemical industry. You can store oil, you can store petrochemicals. Because you have the storage space, so we can have a petrochemical industry here. And because this is Singapore, and the industry is confident to be in Singapore, so a hole in the ground in Singapore is valuable, whereas elsewhere you can find holes in the ground for free. Healthcare. We've built the Khoo Teck Puat Hospital. This is a vegetable garden, but it is a vegetable garden on the roof of the Khoo Teck Puat Hospital. Managed by residents in Nee Soon, living nearby, volunteering, community effort, keep the roof green, keep the patients cheerful, and meanwhile they get some vegetables and fruits and flowers. They've even got coconut trees on the rooftop. But the next hospital is coming, Ng Teng Fong Hospital in Jurong in 3 years' time, and thereafter, I hope not too long after that, a new hospital in Sengkang. In education, we've got many things coming on, but I think this picture is the most beautiful. It's not a university, that's ITE College West in Choa Chu Kang. Opened this year, and it looks like a university, and what's inside it is even more interesting. They run classes, they've got cooking classes, culinary classes, and this one you'll see, there's a French chef and French students. They didn't join ITE. They are there because the ITE course is run jointly with the Institut Paul Bocuse in Lyon, in France. And here, the students and the instructor have come from France to spend time in the ITE and they are teaching the students to prepare a 3-course meal. The next ITE is ITE Central, and I think the buildings will be better. It's in Ang Mo Kio Avenue 5 and will be open by 2013. We are building new townships. This one is already there, Punggol 21, Tree Lodge at Punggol. But many more flats are coming up in Punggol, and Punggol New Town, when it's done, this is the artist's impression of one of the views. So our new towns, our HDB estates will be different, and they won't just be HDB estates, but they will be in an urban landscape, because we are going to have a greenery all around it. In Marina Bay, Gardens by the Bay is almost complete. It will be done by 2012, and if you go inside, you'll have a lush greenery. And it's not just going to be at Marina Bay. We are going to have parks and gardens in the heartlands also. This one is Bishan Park, and eventually we will have this in many other parks in Singapore, in the west, in the east, in the central area, and we'll link them all up to create a city in the garden.